Welcome to iPen Visions Podcast, interviews and conversations, where we bring authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, and those with a vision to our networking community and platform. Be our guest. Include your article, your ad, your promotions, and upcoming events in our quarterly magazine. We are proud to be a part of the Collective for podcast, a virtual tour showcasing you and your business. Our podcast, the magazine, a virtual tour, all on one platform where networking, creativity, and visions meet. All you have to do is contact us at ipendesign@gmail.com. And tonight, welcome to the show. Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Nanette Buchanan, and I'm here. I made it, y'all. And for those of you that don't know, moving ain't easy when you get old. It just ain't easy. I don't know how my girlfriend moved to a whole nother land and a whole nother area and a whole nother whatever with almost zero to none problems. But for me, this is it. I'm not moving anymore. Unpacking, repacking, do packing, don't packing, trying to find out what you did pack, what you didn't pack. I'm done. I'm done. This is it. I'm missing all kind of stuff. That's my son keeps saying it's in a box. Yeah, there's 1,000 of them laying all around the house. So that's been my week. So if I look like I'm a little discombobulated, I am. But tonight we have a wonderful show. We have a wonderful guest. We have someone that's going to talk about something that I don't get into much. Folklore and writing and all of that stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm into it and don't even know I'm into it. But that's what this is about. Getting to know people that do things differently or do things that we don't know about so we can learn about them. And we want to welcome her as well as what she does. So we're going to talk to her about her journey in a few minutes. But as you well know, I always have to bring to the stage my partner, my ride or die, cover up whenever I mess up. So I'm going to bring her to the stage. I think she's ready to come to the stage. So just add in her and see what she says. Hey there, girl. You can't hear?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Because I can't hear you at all.
You can't hear me at all. My speaker says it's on.
Okay, so maybe I need to come back out and come back in because I tell you, this technology
It's saying it's on.
It's really challenging.
Let me bring the guest to the stage and see if she can hear me. So tonight's guest is...
Again, I don't know if it's you or if it's me. So I'll log back off. Hi, everyone, but I'll be back shortly.
All right. Hey, okay. Let's see what we got here.
So let me come off.
This is our guest for the evening. Tonight's guest is Miss Lupe Page. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You can hear me.
Yes, I heard everything.
Okay, so it might be Felice. Like I said, she's in Puerto Rico, gang, so we have to go with whatever we know. But tonight's guest is here, and she is Miss Lupe Page. And we're going to find out all about her and her fabulous work that she's put out, what her journey has been, why her journey has been, who her journey has been, and all the good stuff about her. So welcome to iPen Visions interviews and conversations. And I hope you have a great time because we always have a great time here. So tell me, one of the things that we do while we're waiting for Felice to come on, you can get started with it. One of the things that we do is we don't introduce our guests other than the name. We let them kind of do the breakdown and the bio and all of the good stuff, because who can introduce you better than you? So tell us, who is our guest, Lupe Page?
Okay, so Lupe Page, by the way, is a pen name. Okay, I write
Okay.
under Lupe Page because I started writing when I was still working, and I was in a high position in the education field.
Okay.
I worked in a district. I was an assistant superintendent of early of elementary school, pre-K
Mm-hmm.
8. And so when I started writing these books, they were romance books, but they are shifter romance books, which are pretty steamy romance. So I said, "Wow, you know what?
Okay.
I really don't want anyone to know this is me writing, so I'm going to
Right,
use a pen name.
right,
I'm going to
right.
use a pen name." So I used a pen name, and it sort of freed me up to write whatever I wanted to write, be as creative as I wanted to be, as steamy or not as steamy, however I
Mm-hmm.
want. It was easier that way.
Mm-hmm. So,
So
did you
that's
pick the
what the
pen
name.
name, or was it already a name that was a part of you already
No, I
when
picked
you
it.
picked your name?
Well, part of it, the Page part is my maiden name. The Page part is my maiden name. Lupe is means
Okay.
wolf.
Okay.
It means wolf, and since I write wolf shifters, I named myself Lupe Page.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Lupe means wolf.
All right.
So
All right.
yeah, so
Okay.
um, so that's where my name came from. Um, but I write under other names, different things. When I did nonfiction, I used my given name, my married name.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Mm-hmm.
I did some nonfiction, and then when I switched over to romance, I changed my name. So that's it.
And
So I do have
I
some.
guess, yeah, I guess for you, saying what you said makes sense. It
Hmm.
does. It makes sense to have the
Yeah,
pen name. Some people choose pen names because they like it as just, a nickname of sorts. Some
yeah,
people, like you said, want to express themselves without being, it connected to whatever their profession is.
yeah. Or
And then
judged or
there
people
are
running
others
out.
that just prefer not to use their name.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes.
So
I remember when I started writing, people asked me, was I going to use a pen name? And I told them it was too much. Between
yeah,
penning and trying to figure it out, it was too much. But I
yeah,
worked as a correctional officer at a correctional
mhm,
facility,
mhm.
and inmates can buy your books.
Yeah.
So
See,
their thing was, well, if an inmate buys your book, then what? And I was like, then I made some money because
then you
I'm
made
not
some money.
hiding
That's it.
from.
Yeah,
That's it. I'm not.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even give it a second thought because most of them knew the type of person that I
Mhm.
was. So it didn't matter to
Right.
me that I'm writing and they're
Yeah.
reading. It did,
Right.
by all means, buy a book.
Buy
Read,
a book.
buy a book.
Buy a book.
So yeah, so I
So
understand though, because they definitely questioned, what was I going to do, as far as my name was concerned. So I understand
yeah,
that pen names are important, and I'm
I
glad
do.
that you were able to look at it and say, "Hey, I'm going to do what I got to do."
Yeah.
So that's great. That's great. So you
So
started your publishing company, and what publishing company? What made you choose that?
it is Sim Publishing Ventures. That's my name, Selena Etta Morgan. Publishing Ventures, Sim Publishing
Mhm.
Ventures, LLC. And I chose that. I was taking a program because I had to learn everything from scratch. I didn't know anything. I
Mhm.
mean, I like to write. I since I was little, when I was with my friends, hanging out as teenagers, we used to write stories about each other and our crushes. Whoever we had a crush on, we would write a story about them and share it with each other. So that was always fun. So,
Mhm.
so I like to
Mhm.
write. Way back then, I just never became a writer. So when I started,
Right, right.
I had to learn the whole thing from scratch, and I realized that at first I said, I'm going to write a story, and I started writing the story, but I didn't know anything about genre. I didn't know anything about tropes.
Right, right.
I didn't know any of that. It was just, I thought you just write and you put it out there, but no. So I had to take a
Mhm.
course. So when I took the course, they said, it's good if you have a publishing company and, you put it together, you could put your books under it, and then you could also offer services and do stuff for other people, put their books under it and stuff like that. So So that's where I got Sim Publishing Ventures from. I chose that. That's my full name there, middle name. And that's it. And when I write my books, I make sure I put Sim Publishing Ventures on them. And if I do anything for anyone else, I put Sim Publishing Ventures on it. If I like edit, I do some editing sometimes. I'll put Sim Publishing Ventures.
Right. So it's become a business.
It's a business. It's a business, a small one, but a business. Yes.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, that even just as an author, it's a part of a business. You have
hold
to
on. I'm
treat
going
it
to close this
as a
door.
business.
Let me close the door. My
Okay.
dog is barking like he's lost his mind. Come on, Roman. You out. You out too. Out.
So for those of you that are watching, we are talking with our guest, author Lupe Page. She's the manager of Sim Publishing Ventures, LLC. And we're going to get into all of the good stuff that she does that's just a little different.
Yeah.
So, like I said, people don't understand all the time that writing is a business. Especially for authors. You have to watch, you have to follow the guidelines, you have to follow the rules, you have to know the rules. So getting to know the rules and getting to learn your craft. It's not like you can just do the little things. You have to be able, even if you don't do everything, you have to be able to understand everything that needs to be done.
That's right.
I think a lot of times they skip the steps and don't understand why. Well, I don't have to do it this way, or I don't have to do it that way. And you wind up getting caught later on. So I'm glad that you said, that you went and figured out and found out everything. Because when I started, I didn't go to class. I didn't take a class, but I did a lot of research. I did a lot of reading and researching.
A lot of reading.
And trying to, and avoiding
Save the Cat.
Caught.
I read Save the Cat with beads and stuff, so that was good.
Yes. Because you can lose a lot of money too. Because you
can, because people, your audience expects certain things. If you say you write a romance and you don't have boy meets girl, boy gets girl, boy loses girl, a happy ending, it doesn't matter what you write, because that's the format. It doesn't matter what you wrote. The story could be whatever, but that's the form. That's the formula. Period. People expect that.
Exactly. So tell me, being a poet, or author, spiritual inspiration, that kind of stuff didn't touch you. Just the author part may have, and the spiritual part maybe, sort of, maybe.
A little bit. I do have a journal out. That's it's a spiritual. It's not, I don't
right.
It's spiritual,
and that's what I was
say God on.
That's
it
what
has
I was
a God
alluding
cover or whatever. Yeah, and
well,
that's
what I was
I'm not a
alluding
poet.
to. That a lot of times, what we start with is not what we finish with. We start out with one genre and then we go into the different ones. So what made you, other than your research and other than being a storyteller, what made you decide on the genre you decided on?
I do a lot of reading. And I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I stumbled across the shifter genre. And I never really heard of it before, but I said, let me, I listened to one of those. I said, oh, I really like this. And so this one author, I sort of got all of her books and listened to them, and I really liked them. I said, oh, I really like this. I think I could, write something like this. Come up with an idea and sort of put it together. So yeah, that's how I came across this genre that I like. People always ask me, even my sister, why don't you write about Black people? Why don't you put anybody Black on your cover? I said, you know what? I just might, but right now I'm just trying to get the genre straight. Then I can apply it to everybody.
Yeah. And I'm sure that, well, let's name that genre. Let's talk
Genre.
about the
Yeah.
myths and folklore that
It's
you
actually
do.
romance. It's
Um,
romance, paranormal,
mm-hmm,
and paranormal shifter romance.
mm-hmm.
That's what it is. You can put it under
Right,
fantasy.
but
Sometimes
let's
I put
let's
it under
break it down.
fantasy. Fantasy.
But let's break it down and be honest about it. There's a
Yes.
lot of the myths and folklore that
Yes.
are built into your characters. They're built into why they do the things they do, how
It's
they
true.
do the things they do. I think most people can understand paranormal. Most people can understand romance, but do they really understand myths and folklore?
Oh, what happened? Hey. Oh, she'll probably be back.
I think Felice's thing went out again.
Yeah, she's in
Do they
Puerto
really
Rico. Well,
understand myths? Right, myths
hmm
and folklore.
yes.
Can you give us a brief um, analogy of what myth and folklore entails?
So myths are what people believe about a certain thing, and folklore is sort of ingrained in the culture of what we do. So what people believe about shifters, right, will buy into how when they read
Mhm,
my books, what they used to think of or how they're portrayed. And folklore is how they live. It's really their
mhm,
cultural thing, how they live their lives, and so and sort of
mhm,
all of the rituals that go with the myth, go with shifter life, right? So if I'm going to write
mhm,
about shifters and what
mhm,
happens, I have to make sure I know what it is that they do in terms of mating, in terms
mhm,
of their emotions,
mhm,
because emotions for them are a big piece of that. Because it's a big contrast between
mhm,
humans and shifters, and between shifters and wild
mm,
animals.
mhm,
There's a difference between, you can have a bear, wild bear,
mhm,
and you can have a shifter bear. There's a difference between them. And so when you tell the
mhm.
story and
Now,
you weave in all the myths,
when you say
mhm,
shifters, when you
yeah,
say shifters, are you
yes,
talking about those that can go in between what they are and who they are?
they shift from human to animal. So they always have an animal. There's
Right,
an animal in
right.
their soul. It could be a wolf, it could be a panther, it could be
Mhm,
whatever it is, a bear or whatever. But that animal is like a second part of it. It's like having two identities. One is the animal and one is the
mm,
human.
mhm,
And especially with the
mhm,
wolf shifters, the animal sometimes comes to the surface, and you notice that in their eyes.
mhm,
Their eyes would turn a golden color. And when that animal
mhm,
is to the surface, they're more beast-like. Okay, so there are things that
mhm,
push it to the
mhm,
surface, and there are things when they're controlling it. But the wolf, we will say, they'll talk about their wolf. They say, my wolf felt such and such, or my wolf knew this before I knew it, because the wolf is, like most
mhm,
animals, very sensitive to vibes and feelings, and
mhm,
they're able to pick up on
mhm,
things that sometimes we ignore as humans. Sometimes you get a hunch about something, you just ignore it and go on about your
mhm,
business. Well, wolves are like that. They get vibes and feelings. They pick up on things, and they want to act on it sometimes when they can't. So it becomes difficult sometimes to control
Well,
the animal in them. So
mhm.
yes.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. What I'm hearing you say is that these shifters in the atmosphere of paranormal and
Mm-hmm.
all of that it surrounds
Mm-hmm.
have this inner instinct
Mm-hmm.
to be more than what they are presented as.
Right.
But don't we have that too as humans?
We may have
Like you
that, but we
said, we
don't
don't
shift. We,
react
we
to
don't
it.
shift into an animal. They're able to shift into an
Right.
animal,
We don't
and they live in
yeah,
these
we
packs.
don't we no, but
Mm-hmm.
the thing about it is we don't shift into what others will see as a physical animal,
Right.
but
Oh yes.
mentally do we shift? you
Well,
you
you
know
can
what I
make
mean? It
Yes, I
just
do.
seems
I
like
do.
we're so close to that,
Yes,
you know? It seems like we're so close to that that there's a
exactly.
possibility
Mm-hmm.
that we too
Mm-hmm.
could be shifters. Like when you see somebody and they act a certain way around a certain group, or they
Mm-hmm.
act a certain way when they're presented with a certain atmosphere, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they react different. Like you said,
Yes,
react
you can say the
differently.
attitude
But
changes, they shift
we
their view
don't
or
take
whatever
on the
they do.
form.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right,
Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
So
so
you
it's
just
sort of
gave me
like
what
that,
I
but
call reader's
it's more
awareness.
intense. It's more intense to them, um,
Right,
and it's hard for
right,
them to control
right.
because they're trying to hide
But I
amongst
think
humans. You have a battle between the shifters and
mm-hmm,
humans because
mm-hmm,
humans think shifters are just animals and they feel like they're human. It's another
mm.
racial kind of prejudice thing going on between them. A lot of times they're
Racial
warring with
curse.
each other for
Right,
territory in
right.
these books, you know. So they hide amongst humans. They don't want humans to know that they exist. So some of them find out that they do exist, right? And then they have to take action to try to make sure that
Mm-hmm,
everybody doesn't
mm-hmm.
find out. So it's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. And of course they're beautiful
So
people.
what I'm like your sister. I'm like your sister now. What
Yeah.
led you towards the paranormal romance? What led you there?
Well, like I said before,
Why?
those books influenced me, but I saw the potential of a story. There's so many different stories you could put. And yes, it could be urban, it could be rural, it could be suburban, it could be whatever I decide I want it to be. They could be in caves. I could go back to the 18th century and write a story about shifters. Then I mean I can actually plop them in anywhere I want to.
Wherever.
uh, you
Right,
know, most
right.
of the books I write, they've been in the woods in these huge territories. But this latest book I wrote, The House of Silverfang, they're now in an urban
Mm-hmm.
setting where they have a dynasty going on, and they have links to the mayor,
Mm.
links to police, and links to this and that. And there's a journalist who's been researching them. Her father has been researching them, finding out about them, and they sort of got rid of him kind of because they didn't
Mm-hmm.
want, he was digging too deep. And then now she's taking up the mantle to try and research and find out what's happening
So
with these shifters. Mm-hmm.
so the first three books that you have out, is that a
Mm-hmm.
series with the same characters, or are they three different stories?
I have 3 series out
Bound
now.
by
I have
Lightning.
Moonborn. Yeah,
Bound by
Bound by
Lightning.
Lightning is a different. Bound by Lightning and the Panthers Mate are in the same series. Moonborn Secrets is a separate series. There's 3 books in that one.
Oh,
This
okay.
series right here
Okay.
has actually 4 books. You have the
Okay.
Wolf's Reluctant Mate. You have Bound by Lightning, the Panthers Mate, and Blade's Fated Mate. They're family members. They're all from the Nightshade. They're from the Nightshade pack,
Okay.
Panther pack. They're Panther shifters,
Okay.
and each one has gone through whatever they've gone through. Each person, and the last one is the father. His name is Blade. Blade's fated mate, and the rest of them found their mates somehow. It's always about because it's romance. It's about them finding their soulmates. We call it soulmates. They call it fated mates, and it's called fated mates because when they see them,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. They know it's their fated mate, and sometimes these people are human. Sometimes it's a human, and they're like, "Well, how can I have a fated mate?" And the human person
Mm.
doesn't know anything about that. So that's where the story comes in, right? How they figure it all
Now,
out. Fighting this
do the
bond
humans in the
thing.
book do the
Hmm?
humans in the books see them as shifters, as animals, or do they see them as people?
It depends on which is some of them. There are
Do the humans
coalitions.
connect as
There are
people?
coalitions that hunt them. There are coalitions that hunt them, but there are people who just let them be. But they recognize them because they have a
Mm-hmm.
stillness about them. You see how we doing all of this, and they have a stillness about them.
Right,
But when
right,
you're in
right.
their presence,
Okay.
there's something. If there's something not right, they're not of the same thing that you are. So when you're in their presence, it's very
Okay.
still around them. and you know there's something. Or you get a funny feeling. You know, sometimes you go somewhere and you're like, you know, I don't like the vibes here, right? So you get like a funny feeling in their presence. So you know that they're shifters, and because of the way they engage with people, they're very minimalist and very still in their engagement. But they have an intense stare that's like makes you look away. It's like, why this person staring at me? You look away.
Right.
Intent. So yeah, it's like that. But yeah, it's like anything else. There's a bunch of people who want to hunt them. Then there's people who just let them be. Then there's people who actually look for them because they like them. You know.
And are there people that want to get rid of them?
Yes, coalitions are hunting them down to get rid of them because these people have a strong. They usually have money because they live a long time. They've been around a lot. They've been around a long time. They've accumulated wealth. So yeah, there's people that want to get rid of them. You know, for the same reasons, people want to get rid of anybody.
So now, right. So now, your audience, who are the readers of these books? Are they science fiction? Are they people that actually follow the group?
These are romance readers. They're romance readers. I have a newsletter. I have 1,700 right now. I have 1,780 subscribers that subscribe to my newsletter. And so these are romance readers. So when I put it out there, when I swap with people with my newsletter and stuff, I'm swapping with other romance readers, other people who read this genre, who likes this genre. Some people like contemporary romance, cozy romance, mystery, cozy mystery, suspense, psychological thrillers, literary, right? These are romance readers because really these books are all about romance. Boy meets girl, boy and girl, and then boy loses girl somehow. I don't know what happens. Something always happens where, but at the end they always come back together. So yes, that formula is a romance formula.
Now let me
all
ask
these other little pieces to it. Yeah.
Oh wow. So do you have it where sometimes the character falls in love, but they don't know that they're dealing with a shifter?
No. No, you know what? No. But I have had it where like in the first one of these series, Moonborn Secrets, the first book in that series, the girl is a human. It's the shifter that finds her. She doesn't know this man is a shifter, right? It's the shifter that finds her, and what it is, they have a strong sense of smell, and these people have a certain smell about them. It could be cinnamon and roses, or whatever. So he picks up her smell, my orange blossoms, whatever it is, and when he picks up her smell, it stops him in his tracks because that's his fated mate. And so something happens, and he, and so he's always, hunting for that smell again, like whatever. But then he finds her. She ends up in the first book, she ends up being attacked or whatever. And he finds her and he takes her. And she knows that there's something. She knows he's a shifter because of his mannerisms, only because of that. She doesn't love him though, because she doesn't know him really. But as the story goes on, she falls in love like normal people do. He's already has to have her because that's his fated mate. He realizes that. His mate. Right. That's his mate, and he can't get around it. But she ends up falling in love with him. Yeah. Even though she knows he's a shifter. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah. It's weird.
That's a whole different.
It's a whole world
for me.
It's a whole world.
Whole different thing.
And it's magic in it too,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Bound by lightning.
The thing about it is. Yeah. And see, the thing about it is, I like things where I can relate it to reality. That's the type of reader that I am. So a lot of times I'll get into the reading And like you said, as long as I can go along with the story based on the
Yeah.
facts of what's given, I can
Yeah.
go along with it. But when it's
Yeah.
something, that's crazy, I'm like, okay, no,
Doesn't make
that would never
sense.
happen. That doesn't, that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense,
And that's what it is. Some of
But
this stuff is
when it
crazy.
comes to right.
Some of it's crazy. Yeah.
It's almost as bad. I've had another author that was on, and he's into the vampires.
Oh,
And
vampires. Yeah, like True Blood. I was going to ask you if you've seen True Blood.
I've always loved vampires. So for
Yeah.
me, reading his books doesn't bother me at all, because I can imagine the vampire. Now with your books, what you're saying, I could imagine something like that. I could see where that could be a possibility.
Maybe it's
Some
all,
of
yeah,
these things that they do with the robots and all the, I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I can't really
like,
get into
pull the
that
plug.
either. Sci-fi. It's
The
sci-fi.
robot
I
is
can't really do
dead.
it.
Because I'm
can't.
not.
I can't keep up with
I
it. It's
can
really
honestly
too
say
crazy for me. Yeah, but if it's two
not
people,
only
if it's
that,
people, okay. Because you know what? Even though they're
yeah,
shifted,
but
sometimes
here's
they
the
go through the
thing.
same stuff.
I can remember when everybody was going crazy about Star Wars.
Oh, I like Star Wars. I don't know why. I saw one.
Yeah,
No, I only
I can
liked
see
1
that.
and 2, and I never saw the rest.
No.
Yeah, I never saw the rest.
I couldn't
But
do
I like
it.
Star
I
Trek.
couldn't do
Oh,
it.
I was a fan of Star Trek.
After a while,
Yeah.
and I could do Star Trek, but I could
Yeah.
not do Star Wars. I
couldn't do Star Wars either. I did for 1 and 2,
I
and
just
that was it.
couldn't
I
do
said, I
it.
can't do this. It's too busy for me. It's too much going. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. So that's it. So
some of the
it's been
stuff that they were doing,
it didn't make no sense, right? I was
so
like, what?
now when you go into the culture and the setup, like you said, it's like, okay, you go into their culture, you go into the setup, and you link it to from the past to the present.
Yes.
How do you develop the present?
So
How
in
do
a
you
lot
get
of
it
my
to the
books,
present?
there is a cultural festival that happens. It's called the Howling Festival, right? And it's in and out of all. It's sometimes it's in a book, sometimes it shows up in another book, but it always shows up. It's something that now, if people who read my books, they know what it is. And the Howling Festival is, these packs they have hierarchies, and you're either you're an alpha who runs the pack, or you're his second or his lieutenant, or you're a beta, or you're whatever you are, you're in charge of. But this is what you do all the time. They're always watching out their perimeters and watching and making sure that people are not encroaching and that things are not happening. And so their whole lives are about, making sure that they can live, peacefully. Right. But once a year, they have this Howling Festival, and it's an anonymous festival. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be the alpha, you could be the lowest cook, you could be whatever you are. They end up mixing up. But they have to wear a mask, and no names are exchanged. No names are exchanged. And it goes on for 3 days, and you do whatever. It's a free for all. Right? Do whatever you want with whatever you want, blah, blah. And then after that, you go back to your job, whatever that is. So that's how
Go
they
back to your job.
Release the energy. But sometimes during the Howling Festival, you find your mate, but you don't know who they are. So that comes up sometimes. So that comes up sometimes. You find your mate, you don't know who they are, because everyone has to wear masks, no names are exchanged. And then you're just kind of stuck until you know.
Now you said that you started writing years ago. That you didn't know you were really, into writing, but you started years ago. Did you always start with this type of genre, or did you start with something else?
No, I started with literary. I was doing literary fiction. I was writing a book about two sisters. And I started writing it, and I wrote it in patches. First I wrote the part where she may have found out her husband died. Then I said, oh, you know what? That's good. But, she needs to have some. Then I wrote the part where she found out that he had a baby she didn't know about. Then and then I wrote the part about her sister who was irresponsible. So it was like all these different parts that I had to piece together. I finally got, that was about 5 years. I finally got the story together. I'm still editing it, but it's a literary fiction piece, and I'm writing that under a different name.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So you do cross over every now and then.
Yeah, I have 2 children's books out. I just wrote a book for my niece and nephew, my grandniece and nephew. I wrote a book about them. I said, I'm gonna write you all a book. So, so I wrote a book about them.
Okay.
Little kids, they're 9 and 10. So,
okay.
Something for
now,
them
do
to
you
enjoy.
think you would ever write something? And that was my next thing, in the fairy tale version or in the younger children version of
because
the wolf packs or
of the wolf packs? No, because the wolf packs are very sensual and sexual, and that's not for children. That's the whole draw to them.
Okay.
They're it's steamy romance. So that wouldn't be good for them.
Okay.
And then I'm not a youth.
Well, the only reason why I asked was because.
Oh, go ahead.
The only reason why I asked was because you got that crossover age, that age where they're going into college or they're young adult or they're teenagers, but they're reading.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's why
I know exactly
I
what you mean.
Because not
they
so
can
much
read
for
my
the little
books.
kids, but for the kids that are going into, I could remember years ago when I was first doing my first couple of books, and kids from seniors in high school, freshmen in college, they're there at the book festival, and they said, well, I like the way this book sounds. And I would have to go, well, how old are you?
Yeah.
And then I read Zane. I read this.
I was reading Sweet Savage Love and all this other stuff. But it starts at 17. They can start at 17. Reading, whatever. Yeah. So that's 7. Some of the characters are 17 when things start happening to them. 17, 18.
Okay.
By 20, they're like, because they live a long life.
Yeah, that's why I ask. Like,
they start young. They live a long life. Because Blade has 3 grown kids. Right. And Blade is like maybe 50, 40. He might be 40. Blade is 40. Still got a ways to go. He's got 3 grown kids, He's got a ways to go because they lived like this last book I have, they're like the characters, one character is 150, one's 137. They live a long life. And the character that's 137 just found his mate.
That's what I was just getting ready to ask.
He just found his mate.
Are they? Wow.
So he's like 137 is like 30.
Okay.
It's like 30 years old.
Okay. Hey, if they can hang in there, then all the power to them. Wow. So there's so many different things that people do. Do you find it that you go to the different festivals that are just for that type book, or it doesn't matter?
What do you mean? The Howling festivals?
Like if you're doing book events, your book events.
Yeah. Oh no, I haven't been to any book events yet. To tell you the truth, for the last year, I've been the first year I started, I was trying to get the publishing thing together, learn how to publish on Amazon, figure out how things work, all of that. So I got all of that together. Then I was still writing at the time, but then I said, you need to work on your craft. So then for the past year, I've been working on my craft, on writing, getting the stories together, making sure they were interesting, making sure I edited them properly. I'm using Atticus to edit and format, making sure, I look through and make sure everything looked good before I put it up there on Amazon. So that was the whole year I did that. Now I got that together. My newsletter is really taking off. So all of that's kind of all gelling now. And so my next move is film. It's film. I just got this program where I could try and make film out of my book. It's hard though. And I have to learn that because I don't know anything about that.
That's been Yeah, that's been my target the whole time. I really don't target for, I won't say for readers, but I'll say my main goal is to see it in film. To see it
see it
in
in film,
film.
because you could do a
To
Netflix.
see what it looks like.
I've been watching Netflix. I'm like, my story
Yes.
would fit there if I can get a script together and do it. So
My
I'm working
story could
on
be
learning that now. Learning learning
yes,
how to
yes,
film and how to write
yes,
scripts and stuff.
yes,
That's
definitely.
this year coming is the year for that.
And not
So
only
then I
that,
can
that
put it
they
all together finally.
right and
Start
right,
marketing.
right, right, right. And that's the main goal of a lot of writers now, is
Yeah.
to get it where your marketing is not just in one area. You
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
be
You have to
able to
kind of have
market
to
and
branch
cross the
out.
line
Yeah.
in what you
And this
do
is a
and how
slow
you do it.
business. It's not a
Yeah,
get rich quick business, because you
mm-hmm.
got to get your name out there. That's why
No,
I said, let me get on some
no,
podcasts. People don't know who the
no.
hell I am. So let me get on some podcasts and talk and stuff.
Right,
And try to get my
right.
name out
And
a
not
little
only
bit.
that, even when they do know you, if you stay dormant for
Oh,
a week or two, it's like they don't know you.
they
So you
don't know
have
you,
to
right.
stay
I have to stay. That's
vibrant.
why I do
You
my
have to
newsletter
stay
every
in,
morning.
yeah, it's an
Yeah,
in
I
your
have a
face type
routine.
thing.
Yeah, I have a routine.
Mm-hmm.
I do my newsletters in the morning where I do swaps with people where I promote their books, they
Mm-hmm.
promote mine, and they'll do newsletters. So I do that first thing in the morning so I can get those out of the way. And then I do my writing. If I'm working on something, I do my writing, my editing. Right now I'm editing my book, A Tale of Two Sisters. I'm editing that so I can get that out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing a prequel to that. The other
Mm-hmm.
daughter. The
And
other daughter is
see,
the prequel, and A Tale of Two Sisters is the book. So that's the next thing I want to put out. And that's
okay,
literary under a
okay.
whole different name.
Well, okay. Well, we did mention your books. We did
We sure
mention,
did.
Bound by Lightning.
Moon
Yeah,
Boy
we
Secrets,
tried to mention everything,
Panther's
everything
Nest.
you had, everything that was there.
Yeah, I have
So we
at least
tried to mention your books, but
yeah.
I also want to mention how you had some quotes, and you said there's no friend as loyal as a book,
Ernest
and that's
Hemingway.
by
That's
Ernest
right.
Hemingway.
Yeah.
Yes, but in reading or in your reading or in your writing,
Yeah.
what turned you on to this quote?
I've always been an avid reader. When I was young, maybe like 9 or 10, we lived in a dead end block where there was some stairs that went down, and there was a little top space. I used to sit at the top of those stairs and read. I'd be reading. I always had a book in my hand. So,
Mm-hmm.
friends come and go, but baby, there's always a good book to read.
Yes, 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 yes. So another quote
Can
that
you
you
hold?
had
Can you give me
was,
one last?
so
Give me
many
1 second.
books.
I'm sorry. I'll be right
Sure,
back.
sure.
Apollo, stop. What are you barking at? Cut it out. Cut it out. What's wrong with you? I'm not putting you out there and you stop barking. Jesus Christ. Stop it. Why are you making so much noise? Can't even hear what I'm talking. You're barking too much. Oh, I apologize. I have this big dog and he's barking now. He's so distracting. So I just opened the door. Hopefully he won't come over here.
No problem. No problem. So many books, so little time. Do you find yourself overwhelmed with your own writing?
I do. Every day I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to do this. I have to do that. I'm working on this film. I'm trying to put this script in. It's a lot. So, and I'm a little bit ADHD. So I really try to say, okay, today I'm gonna do this. And then tomorrow I'm gonna do this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. And I have a lot of stories in my head too. So I sort of jot down ideas as I go along. I just jot down ideas. Yeah, I'm gonna be writing a
do you
big.
do script writing?
I don't.
Do
I
you do
don't do
script
script
writing?
writing. No, no, I don't. I don't know
Oh,
anything about it. I have to
okay.
learn.
That
When
is
I have to
that
learn,
is a
I go to
task that,
YouTube.
yeah, that's a task that, yeah, I have dabbled in it. I don't
Hmm.
like it. So I've backed up off of it and then dabbled in it again and then
Yeah,
backed up off of it and then
yeah.
dabbled in it again. So I've decided to allow others to do it. Hey,
That's a
that's
good
your
idea.
craft,
Yeah,
you do it and then bring it to
just
me.
parcel. Some of the stuff has to be
Because
parceled out because you can't learn everything. So,
mhm,
but I did write a script
mhm,
once. I wrote
mhm.
it for a contest. But there's a contest
And
I
we
used to
shouldn't
be
be
in.
ashamed.
No, no, of
Yeah,
course
we
not.
shouldn't be ashamed to say that, hey, I write it, but I give it to someone else to do the script, because I just my books are regular sized novels. So we're talking
Yeah,
90,000 plus
90,000
words.
words
And
exactly.
there's no
90,000,
way
100,000
that I can
words.
take that.
Mm-hmm. And make a
Yeah,
script out of it. No
I
way.
can't take it
Nope.
and put it into a script and not
No.
lose the content. I want to keep the
Yeah.
content together. So
Hmm.
I understand totally. You gotta, but again, learning is a part of the process, because at least if you know what it entails, you can kind of understand what's being done.
Yeah, I
You have
think
to
I
get
don't.
that understanding.
I think I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't have a problem, just saying, hey, make a script for me with this book. I mean, because you can't really do everything and
Mm-hmm.
it's still write well. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard.
Mm-hmm. And
It's hard.
listen, life be life, and so now you got to include parts of your life
Yes, you
into
do.
the writing, into the
Yeah.
everyday process. And then you're saying now you're going to be a script. Well, wait a minute. I'm doing this,
When you got,
this,
that's
that.
another course for that. I just
I
look at a
had to.
YouTube video and see, but I have my book is 95,000 words. I'm not going to be able to do that. So,
Mm-mm,
that's another
mm-mm,
thing.
mm-mm.
Right now, but
It's
I'm just if
much.
I can
It's
just put some
much.
scenes in a
So it
video,
is
that's what I'll do.
so many books, so little time. Yes,
Hmm.
definitely. So we want to let our guests know that you could be
Oh,
reached at your net and your phone. We want to let them
yep.
know that they can watch the replay here on um, YouTube, on my YouTube channel,
Yeah,
on my
that's
Facebook
good.
page.
Hmm.
You're not watching live, you could always go there and make sure you tune in
Mm.
what we need to show. We need to see them. And again, I apologize, internet. I have no idea what's going on with it, but I gotta apologize because I'm in a new location. Felice never even came back from her location, so I don't really know internet
Yeah,
is
my internet
concerned.
was acting up today too. I just feel like lately
But
it's been acting up a lot. I think it's global. I
uh,
don't know. I hate to come up with a conspiracy theory, but I haven't had this much trouble with
they
the
were
internet before.
saying
You know who
they
became
were
president?
saying that a lot of the internet backed up. Facebook was having problems.
Mm.
So I don't know, but we want to make sure that we get your information out.
Okay. Yeah, you're sort of coming
Again,
in and out now.
showing books as well as
Hmm.
showing
Yeah.
your connection,
Yeah.
the internet, with your number, as
Yep.
well as
Yep.
you
And
can
there's
also
my
reach out
email.
to her on her author page.
That's my
Yeah,
email right there.
reach out to her, send an email,
Hmm.
request the books by all means. If you're into paranormal, or if you're just into
Amazon,
normal
Lupe Page.
romance, some of these books are what you want to get. Bound by Lightning, Moonborn
Moonborn
Secrets, The
Secret.
Panther's
The
Maid,
Panther's Maid is
and
really
look them
good.
up. Look them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, look them up. Look them up.
Hmm.
Make sure you connect. Make sure you go on Facebook. She's there. Make sure you connect on social
Instagram.
media,
I'm on
and by all
Instagram,
means, go
TikTok.
get books on Amazon. We want to,
Hmm.
yes, yes. We want to make sure that you get your kudos for what you do and how you
Thank
do.
you.
all the
Yeah.
time. So we want to make sure that you're actually getting what you're supposed to get. And we want to thank you for being
Thank
a
you.
guest with us on, our show. I couldn't said her into acting crazy. That's another. Okay, is it working? Okay, is it working? That's the way I do. So I want to thank you for being a part of our show. And I have one last question that we ask all of our guests.
Okay.
What do you do to fill your cup other than writing?
Oh God, there's so many. I like golfing. I go golfing, but I also like fitness. I go to the gym. Um, so and then I go out. Like I'm going. There's a wine running here, winery up here. I go to the wine country. I'm going on a cruise in Washington D.C. I just get out. Yeah, because you can be stuck in going
Okay.
down a rabbit hole with this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I make sure I get out. I go golfing.
So,
I go to the
okay, so you go
gym,
to the winery and
winery. I'm going to
relax
the winery. I go.
and
Oh, I love the casino.
enjoy. Okay. I could
Yeah.
see, I could see. Why? Do they have music and while
Yes,
you're there, do
festivals.
you do like the bands and the groups and everything?
Yeah. What happened? You're okay. So you're kind of stuck. Are you still there? Hello.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I
I'm
can hear you
trying
now. Yes.
to trying to.
There you are. There you are. Okay.
Trying to get these last questions. Else, do you get a chance to enjoy groups there?
Yeah. You know what? I just started a female group. I asked for people over 60 who are interested in going out. I did it. It's called a group. I got a group me going. And so I'm setting up an event. Going to this winery. We're going to the winery on May 7th. And then we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I told them what I'll do is I'll put out where I'm going.
Oh,
Anyone who wants to come, feel free to come. Since I'm new here, I don't know anyone,
right,
so I have to
right,
invite them.
right.
So I just invite them to
Mm,
wherever I'm going,
okay,
and
okay.
hopefully I can get a core group of friends.
Right. Well, I am so happy to have met you and
Yeah.
hear so much about your books. I wish you the best of the best because it's a
Thank you.
whole different genre. And
Yeah.
the thing about it is it's one to be explored. It's one to
Yes.
be looked into because we
Mhm.
always want to be, it's one of those things where you want to be taken away from the norm. So
Yeah. And
if
you find something new and different.
romance is your
Yeah.
thing, right.
Yeah.
If paranormal romance is your thing, then Lupe
That's it.
Page
That's
is
my
who
thing.
you
I
want to
love it.
read.
Only because the men are so good
Yeah.
looking. I make sure the men are good
Yeah.
looking.
Oh, yes. I think it's the animal in them.
Yes.
I think it's the animal in them.
Yes.
I think that's what it is.
That's what
But
it
anyway,
is.
I want to thank you again. Stand by. We're going to close out with our guests. Thank you so
Okay.
much for tuning in. We
Thank you for
appreciate you
inviting me.
and
That was
all
fun
you
to talk about.
do. Yes. And have a good evening. We thank you for tuning in and staying in. Stand by,
Okay.
please.
All right.